Thanks to EA for the free game code. Yo, what's going on, snipers, and welcome back to our Akron Zips Dynasty mode here in CFB 26. So last episode, if you did not catch it, we got through the rest of the year 3 off season, and we're up here at the start of another season, or the preseason at least, and our team is starting to come together actually decently. Like, obviously we're not super good still on paper, but we are definitely, I'd say, a little bit better in terms of ranking, at least into the preseason, than we were at the start of last year. Last year, I think we were rated 61s across the board. This year, we are really rated 66s across the board. So I'm hoping that that record or overall rating kind of stays into next season. I also did make some adjustments after last episode, so I did decide to redshirt our young quarterback Niles Sharp instead of Jennings, just because Jennings obviously was with us last season, and he also cares about playing time, I believe. So we redshirted Sharp because we can. And yeah, we have a good team, I think, starting to build up. Like, we're starting to get a lot of guys that are kind of in the 70 overall range at least, so we're not running a bunch of low-end players anymore. And there's definitely some players with some really good promising play, like, for instance, Robert Thomas, of course, our 1-4-star player. We also do have guys that are, like, a little bit lower end, but still doing good. Like, Lewis Griffin was actually good for us, I think, last season, in my opinion. We have some other guys that are on, I think, who was it? There was some guys with really good dev traits, I think, if I remember right. I'm just trying to remember who. Oh, yeah, guys like Winston, for instance, has an impact dev trait. But then you also have guys like Drango, who has a star dev trait. So we have a lot of guys with some decent potential, too. So hopefully they grow at the end of the season. And hopefully this team finds a way to play better than they did last year, because last year was kind of disappointing. It would be nice if we could start winning more games, and if we could start bringing in some more good recruits and get this team up to at least like the 70s or something like that within the next few seasons. So with that said, let's get in your guys' comments, see what you guys have to say about last episode, and then we will get into setting up a recruiting board for year number 4, and we'll obviously do some scouting and stuff like that and start up the year 4 season. So the first and only comment is from Scarecrow, who says, enjoying the series, best of luck this upcoming season. And thank you for that, man. I really hope this is a decent season by comparison to last year. Last year, I think we only had like 2 wins, maybe, I think, if I'm not mistaken. So it was a disappointing season. So if we can build up on that, it would be great. Also hoping a lot of the younger guys that we brought in over these last few years could start playing good and developing into being decent players as well. So with that said, let's set up a recruiting board and see what there is in terms of players this year and what we actually need. I'm honestly not too sure what we need, but I'd assume, yeah, we need a lot of stuff. Especially when you look at like our targets, you can see that we're 0 for 3 on quarterbacks, halfbacks, we're 0 for 2. Wide receivers, we're 0 for 1. Tight ends, or no, tackles, not tight ends. Tackles, we're 0 for 4. Guards, we're 0 for 6. Same with the edge, defensive tackle, offensive linebacker, or outside linebacker, that's what it means. Mike, we're 0 for 1. Quarterback, we're 0 for 3. And in full safety, or free safety, 0 for 1. So a lot of areas need to be addressed this season. Obviously, we never usually have a full roster, so it would be nice to kind of address these areas, but I doubt we are going to fix up every single thing. So anyways, let's start by targeting at least a couple 4-star prospects this year in the areas that need it the most. So the areas that needed the most would be guard, because they're 0 for 6. Same with edge. Mostly the defensive side of things needs a lot of work. Like, the offensive play is not really that bad, looks like. What's the defensive play? So if I'm going to look at some 4-star recruits, I think what we're going to look for is we're definitely going to look for O-guard here and see if there's any good ones that want to maybe come here. We're probably going to look for edge as one as well, outside linebacker, and also maybe offensive tackle. And I think those are the 4 areas I'm going to look into for a 4-star recruit. The other areas I could look into, but obviously with the 4-star recruits, we're going to be sending a house early on, so that's already going to use like 200 hours at least. Probably closer to 220 something at least, because we'll have to also send scholarships and all that. But they're going to use a good chunk of our hours early on, but it's because we want to make good headway on them. So starting off with the guards, we will look into, I guess, Valencia. He does want playing time as his thing, so we might as well try and get into the hat for him. And we'll do 2 people per position on this area. So we'll look, since we just looked at a left guard, we'll also look at a right guard if Earl does want playing time, so we'll take a look at Matthew Earl as well. And those will be the guards we're going to start by looking at. We're also going to go over to edge and do 2 as well. So we're going to do a right and a left one probably as well on this. Proximity to home and playing time. I guess proximity to home is kind of a little bit better than playing time in a sense. But I could go for either or of these dudes. Obviously, this guy's rated a lot higher, like nationally ranked. He's 74th, it looks like. Meanwhile, this guy's 127th. I feel like this guy could end up going, obviously, to a higher end school. Texarkana, this guy's from. That's interesting. Forgot about good old Texarkana. Know it from like American Truck Simulator. Let's throw our name into the hat for this guy instead for the playing time one, just because I feel like this proximity to home one, I feel like he might commit more to like a North Carolina school instead. Texarkana, I'm not sure what schools are in that area. Obviously, that's between Texas and Arkansas, but we will try for Gels as the right one. And then for left, there is Sam Shin in terms of playing time, so we might as well throw in our name into him. There is some high-end schools into him, it looks like, early, but obviously if we could throw a lot of stuff at them early on, hopefully we could get a good lead and not blow it like we did in last season with some of these 4-star recruits. We don't have to necessarily land a 4-star recruit this season, but it would be nice to, so we're probably going to resort to a bunch of 3-stars again, but that's not too bad, I guess. We'll also go to, I said, outside linebacker. Look at a couple 4-star guys there as well, if there's anything interesting in that spot. So the Sams and the Wills are the outside linebackers, huh? What's these guys? Proximity to home, playing time. Is anybody with a really good proximity to home, like A+? Yes, there is. Ricky Pounds from Cleveland. All right, Ricky Pounds is a guy to look into just because of that proximity to home, in my opinion. And he's a Sam, so we might as well look into a Will with the other one. This guy just wants playing time. Akeem Lovell. Is there anybody else with prox to home, though? Playing time. Page. Proximity to home is a B-. That's not bad. He's from Alabama. And there's this guy with playing time. Playing style. Playing style is definitely something I wouldn't really want to put into a player, but let's go with Page, I guess, for the proximity to home factor. So that will be another one to look into. And then lastly, we're going to go back to offensive tackle. And we'll look into 2 guys in that area if there is any. So we'll look for a right and a left on this. So proximity to home is an A+ on this guy. He's from Cincinnati. So we'll look into Josh Tolbert. And then we'll also look into, for left tackle, we'll look into Orlando Crum, I guess. Even though Florida Gators could be interested in him, we'll try it. And then obviously we'll add some 3-star recruits here shortly with the remaining hours. But let's go back to the recruiting board and try and get all these guys onto this team, or interested in this team at least a bit. So we'll offer scholarships on all of them first and foremost. So let's go do that. And then we're going to send the house on all of them if we can. It might use a good chunk of our hours early on, though. So if we want to have hours remaining, maybe we do not... Actually, maybe we'll still have hours. Yeah, we might have enough for a couple 3-star interested players, but we are probably going to get locked out on a lot of these guys early on. So hopefully some of them make their decision relatively quick. Since we're in the preseason, it looks like we can't actually send the house yet on any of these dudes. So we have to wait a week before that, which is actually not that bad. But we are going to have to free up hours in that sense afterwards. So we still have 275 hours. So now let's go back to those positions, or all through all the positions we need. Actually, maybe we'll go back to, let's go any state here. And we will go to, I guess, those areas of need that we were just looking into the most. So we'll go back to offensive tackle, and we will look at 3-star recruits instead, actually, just because we need to throw in at least some 3-stars. So that way we can maybe land a couple options if we don't get the 4-stars. So these guys all want pro potential so far. Playing time for Leo Parms. Sure, let's give you a chance. And then there's also Jerry Hart. We'll add Jerry Hart too. So those 2 guys we'll look into. We'll head to guard. We'll look at a couple, one on each side again, probably. Playing time for Terrence Coates. Let's do that. Anybody with procs? Yes, B+ for Devin Crook from New Jersey. Yeah, we might as well look into you, I guess, for the other one. Then we'll go back down to Edge because we do need a lot of these. Let's see. Playing time for Quandre? Quandre? I thought that was Oandre or something, but Quandre Yates. We'll look into you. Anybody with procs or something like that too? Because procs is usually my favorite one to go to. Playing time for Ben Fong. I guess we'll look into Fong. Sure. Then we have to head to, was it defensive tackle I was doing next? No, it was outside linebacker. No, it was defensive tackle and outside linebacker, I think. Yeah, pretty sure. Yeah, I think that's the areas we were looking at for those 4 stars beforehand. So, proximity to home is a B+ on Bargava. Bargava? Yeah, Bargava probably will add you, sure. And then we will go to Clements. Bill Clements. It's not Bill Clement, like the old hockey announcer and stuff like that. But proximity to home is an A-, so we might as well take a look at him too. And then we'll finally also go to the, what was the other one? What was the other one? Oh yeah, it was the outside linebacker. God damn. A lot of stuff always is set up at the beginning of the season, but I hope we can make some good headway on some of these dudes. So we'll do this Paul Ritzman dude because of proximity to home. And we will also do this Preston Braverman guy because he's also from Ohio. So that's going to be our targets here early on. I guess technically I could add more to them because there is probably going to be more hours still. But at this point, we don't know for sure. So let's go to these guys here. Offer them scholarships as well. Just might as well. These guys are going to be our people we're mainly interested in. Obviously, there's other areas we need to target too. But I don't think they're as big of a need, even though there are some that are 0 for 3. We were looking at the ones that are 0 for 6 and all that, so. Yeah, we're going to still have a lot of hours, so maybe I can add more people to this list, but I can only target 35 max. But I can't send the house or anything yet, so if I simulate 1 week, then I probably can. So we probably will do that first. So I don't think I'm going to spend the other 225 hours. I could by sending scholarships to all these people that I want. I guess we might as well fill up the entire target list. And then, obviously, we can narrow it down after 1 week, maybe. Because I feel like, obviously, we're going to definitely need a lot more hours after this week to spend on the other guys. So, let's go back and go to 3-star recruits and just add, like, maybe at least 1 player on all these other areas. So quarterbacks, we have some 3-star quarterbacks already on this team, but obviously wouldn't be bad to get another one. We probably don't want one with a crazy need for playing time, so Matthew Kennedy only wants a C-, it looks like, so we'll add him as an option for quarterback. Halfback, we need 2 of them. Vic wants playing time, C-, he only needs, so we'll add Daryl Vick. Wide receiver, apparently we still need wide receivers, which is surprising because I feel like we brought in a decent amount of them. Playing time, I don't really know about that. Playing time on this, let's go with Lane Volk, sure, as the wide receiver option. We've already looked at guard a couple of times, defensive tackle, all that. Let's go to the Mike, and also add one of these. Playing time A+, we'll add you. Cornerbacks, I feel like we already have a lot of cornerbacks, but we might as well add more. I feel like there's never enough cornerbacks or something like that. Desmond Starks, we'll add you. Looks like there's not some crazy teams in there, but we'll add you anyways for playing time. We will also go to free safety. See what we got here. Is there anybody for free safety? Yes, Milburn, proximity to home. Sure. All right, so we'll add those guys and send them also scholarships. And then obviously we're going to kind of narrow it down after 1 week. We might have to already remove some people, but once we can send the house, we are going to send the house on some people, which means we're going to have to take away a lot of hours from some people. So I guess it depends on the general interest after the first week or whatever. So we have 195 hours, but I think that's actually not that bad because basically, for all the 4 stars we have interest in, we have 8 4-star recruits. which means if we're spending 50 hours into each of them, let me do some math here. 50 times 8. That's like 400, I think. 50 times 8. Yeah, I think it's like 400. So we probably will need to remove a bunch of hours from some people in order to get more hours. Obviously, we'd have to have all of our hours freed up. So some of these 3-star recruits might have their things removed, but let's go with that. We're not going to spend the rest of the hours, I think. I know it might be a mistake, but that's how I'm going to set it up for the preseason at least. So let's advance a week. And we will obviously continue to look into those guys. I don't know how much of them we're going to look into in this episode or how far we're going to get in this episode, but hopefully we can make a little chunk of the season done. So a couple things are just staying the same, of course, because there's no game that week. We do have a bye week. We do have more recruiting to do. Did anybody get general interest already off that gate? I guess not, because it's before the season actually starts. So can I now send the house on these dudes? I think so, right? Yes, I can. Okay, good. So let's go to the 4-star players first and foremost. We do have 250 hours now fully, so we do have hours that we could spend. So I guess technically we could give 5 of those 8 4-star recruits basically a send the house. And I guess we'll do 1 in each area and then 1 other player, whoever we think is the best. So let's, who do I want to choose between Valencia and Earl? I would scout them, but it's kind of a waste of hours. What teams are interested in Valencia? 1-star pipeline, 3-star, 5-star. That's a little bit tough. Is this tougher competition? There's some teams already getting interest, which is interesting too as well. Trying to see who would be the easier one to win. Trying to see. Who would I prefer? I guess technically, maybe we should go for the people that are ranked a little bit lower in a sense, because maybe they won't get as much interest. I'm not really too sure. There is a pipeline 4 team though in number 1. This one doesn't have a pipeline tier. I don't really know. Let's send the house on Valencia for the guard position. For the edge rusher position, let's look into these dudes. Oh my god, that's a lot of good teams interested in gels. Yikes. Shin has also a lot of competition. I don't even know if it's worth going into these dudes at this point. I might have to focus my attention to the 3-stars. Because, yeah, those are really high pipeline tiers. I don't think we can compete with that. I just don't. There is a 2 pipeline tier team in this list. But maybe we could still get some interest on some of these dudes, so we might as well try for 1 week. But obviously, if we're nowhere in close to some of these other teams, we're just going to withdraw from them. But we'll come back to that decision afterwards. The same in the will. Also, both have a lot of teams with high-end pipeline tiers. Oof, this is not great. Page doesn't have as much interest, so I think he's going to be one just because he doesn't have as much... like, he's not as close to reaching his top 8 schools. These 2 guys are not really that high either. Maybe we'll just go for the one that doesn't have a lot. Actually, who do I want to go for? 3 pipeline 5s, 4 pipeline 5s, 2 pipeline 3s, 1 pipeline 3. I feel like Shin would probably be the easier to 2. Let's just go for Shin right now. Oh boy, this is tough. I don't think we're going to land some of these dudes though, to be honest, but we might as well try. There's no reason not to. This guy might be easier to land, but there is Ohio State, which is number 1. That's not going to be great to try and battle with Ohio State. Doubt we're going to win over them. Same with the Florida Gators. We might as well try and still get the hometown kid for that, so we'll try out, but I doubt we're going to get Tolbert. Doubt we could beat Ohio State in this race. And then in terms of the 3-star recruits, we do actually have 50 hours left after all those guys. I don't know if I should send a house on one of these dudes or not. Who is the one that had the craziest amount of 5-star pipeline tier players in our teams interested? It's like, there's a couple with like 3. Yeah, this is going to be really tough, I think, to get some of those dudes. Maybe I will just look into a 3-star recruit already. Maybe I'll spend 10 hours on each of these, or 1 on each of these 3-star guys as well. And just because I honestly don't think we're going to land another 4-star recruit. I think we got lucky when we got Thomas. I don't think we're going to land another one until we're a better team. That's just my hunch, at least. So let's add a couple 10s on some of these 3-star recruits to at least get some general interest off the hop. We'll go for Yates as well, sure. 2 more people getting 10 hours spent on them. We will go for this dude. Hopefully we could get some interest off the hop. If not, like I said, I doubt we're going to get any 4-stars this year. I just feel like last year obviously showed us that we're going to get into really tight races and we could still lose them. So, Ritzman, I guess we'll go into Ritzman as well, sure. There's definitely some other people I could put hours on, but we'll come back to those eventually. So, there you go. Our hours are spent for the week. And we are ready to advance. Hopefully we get some good news about jumping up to like first place on some of these people's lists, but it's early in the season and I feel like a lot of those 4-star recruits we want are going to be probably impossible to land. Yep, a lot of them just locked us out. I think a good chunk of them did, and there's also 3-star recruits as well that just locked us out. So we're gonna have to throw our name into the hat for some other people, but we've already been locked out by Pounds, who's a 4-star recruit. He's reached his top 8 schools. Crumb's reached his top 8 as a 4-star as well. And then a bunch of the 3-star guys have already reached their top 8. So a lot of guys are going to have to remove from our list, unfortunately. But at least that will help us narrow down our focus a little bit more on who we want to go for. So not necessarily the best of starts in terms of spending hours. But let's go any here and take out Pounds, because we did not get Pounds for sure. We aren't getting Crumb, so we'll take him out. We'll also take this guy out, this guy out. Damn, man, so many people locked us out. But at least it'll make it easier for us to kind of focus on the other guys a little bit. But in terms of the 4-star recruits that we were looking into, Valencia has moved us to number 8, but it's a very big margin we need to make up. It looks like those top 2 teams are getting a lot of interest, but at least we're in the top 8 right now on Valencia. Earl, we could now probably spend more hours into if we remove some hours from people, but obviously we're not on Gilles' list. I think these guys are going to lock us out here shortly too. Shin has us as number 8 as well, so that's not bad, but obviously a lot of work to do. Page has us as number 4. That's actually pretty good. That's a pretty good starting point, but look at all the schools above him. 3 teams with 5 pipelined here. I don't think we're going to really be able to land him. We are number 4 on Tolbert's list, and Ohio State, I think, was number 1, but they don't look like they're anywhere in the top 8 anymore, which is interesting. Maybe we could start making some headway. Actually, no, Ohio State is just above us. I didn't even realize that. But there's also some other schools above us too. So maybe we could still work on Tolbert, which is nice. We don't have his deal breaker, do we? No, we do have his deal breaker, I think, yeah. Coates, we're nowhere near because we didn't really give much hours to. We still have 20 hours now because of a couple people locking us out. I guess we'll look into, let's see. I don't know who I want to spend the other 20 hours on. I guess I could remove the 10 hours on some dudes and then just kind of reconfigure things. Let's put 10 hours on a couple more dudes, I guess, for that matter. We don't really need these guys as much, but like these guys we could definitely sell for 2-star recruits if we want to. Let's spend a couple hours on some of these other guys, I guess. I honestly don't know how to spend my hours super well on this, so let's just add 10 hours to a couple more dudes and see if we make up some more interest over the week. But we have our first game of the season against FCS East. I don't know why it never shows a record for FCS East. Like, is that just... Yeah, I don't really know what the reasoning for it is, but anyways, if we could find a way to win this first game of the season, that'd be nice. We are on home field, so that's nice. So we should have the right guys in the lineup, hopefully, for this game. Hopefully we don't have people complain and leave because of playing time at the end of the season, but with that said, let's advance to next week and see how our first game of the year goes. We'll take a look at some scores and stuff like that and see if our team did well enough in that first game. But hopefully we get off to an okay start here. So, in terms of stuff, we'll come back to this weekly advanced summary in a second because I keep on forgetting it skips ahead. We did gain some XP, so maybe that means we won. Yes, we did. Okay, so we did win our first game of the season. That's actually a nice thing to see because a lot of the time we don't get off to a great start, but 1-0 to start the year. We are still 66s across the board as well, so I'll definitely take that. But in terms of the updates on the prospects, Enrique Valencia has reached his top 8 schools. We are currently in 3rd place, but we still have a lot of work to catch up to that top team, it looks like right now. Earl's locked us out because we didn't put any hours into him, really. So that's unfortunate, but it is what it is, so we'll have to take him out. Shin has reached his top 8 schools. We're currently in 5th place, but also have a lot of work to go. Tolbert, hey, okay, we've jumped up to Tolbert's top school over a bunch of high-end teams, but those teams are teams that we'd get into battles with and likely lose, so we got to be careful here, but hopefully Tolbert's a guy we can land, but it's going to be probably a dogfight right till the end. Crook obviously has locked us out because we didn't put any hours into him. Same goes with Cornell and also Milburn. I don't even remember adding Cornell and Milburn, but maybe I just never said their names, but at least we started the season off with a win, which is nice to see. So let's remove people from our recruiting list, and then we'll take a look at how our first game of the year went, because we did win it, but hopefully some decent results from some of our young players on the team, or old players even for that matter. So, all right, so we have to remove all these guys from our list. We have 10 more hours, which means we'll probably start. I don't want to really move send to house from these 4-star recruits because they're important. But it's hard to bounce around all these hours with the 3-star guys right now. I could knock some of them down to 40 hours, but I fear I will lose them if I do that. Because, yeah, Valencia were number 3 on. Gel still has not reached his top 8, but I doubt we're going to be able to get into his top 8 after 1 week if I add send a house on him. I would have to remove hours from these 3-star recruits, which right now we're not in any of their lists whatsoever. So, if I remove all the hours, though, from those 10-star recruits, I could put it into the 4-star guy and see if I could get into Gels' list. So, we're going to try that, but I hope that means these 3-star guys aren't going to all lock us out after 1 more week. So, we are going to remove all this on these guys and try our best on these 4-star recruits. Hopefully, some of the 4-stars lock us out in a way, or one of the 4-stars lock us out in a way, because that will free up some more hours to spend into those 3-star guys. So, we're trying our best to get the high-end players first, at least. So, we'll send a house on you, and that means all of the 4-star recruits we have left are taking up all of our hours. So, hopefully, those 3-star guys don't lock us out. Hopefully, they wait a little bit, and that way, once somebody like Gels locks us out, we free up 50 hours and can put it back into those guys. So, but I do like that we're number 1 on Tolbert right now, but it's definitely a competition. Ohio State's number 4. They are a 5 pipeline tier team. Everybody else is a team we could probably compete with in a pipeline tier. So maybe Tolbert's the guy we could land, but it's still going to be definitely a tough competition, I think. So with that said, let's back out of this and let's take a look at how our first game of the season went. We saw that we won. We are going to be taking on Wyoming, who also won their first game next, but let's take a look here. If we go to, where was it again? Trying to remember where all the stuff is. Oh yeah, scores and schedule. Let's take a look at this and go to week number 1. Go to the MAC, and we won our first game 31-7. That's a great first game. That's kind of exactly what I want to see from this team. So a nice offensive game. We score 31, and we only give up 7. So good offense and good defense too, it looks like, for that matter. But let's take a look. Actually, let's go back to box score for a second here. We had 39 offensive yards. They didn't have a single offensive yard. I don't really know what that means. Actually, no, it might be glitched out and just showing it on our side. I don't really know. Because it says zeros across the board on FCS East. Or is FCS East even a team? Because it said they didn't even play a game. I'm confused. Anyways, in terms of passing yards, the 80 overall quarterback in Brookhart, 54%. I want Jennings to get some games in this season as well, so maybe there'll be some where we actually take Brookhart out just to get Jennings in some games, or else he might complain a little bit. Let's go to rushing yards here. Rushing yards wise, Branham had 77. It's not a bad game for Dion Branham. Receiving yards, Goodwin had 74. Griffin had 52. Thomas 49. All right. Blocking doesn't matter, I guess. Well, it does matter, but 7 tackles from Austin Coco. All right. Heath had 4. Kicking wise, Sombrelio was 1 for 1. Punting, Jameson was 45.5 average yards per punt. I don't really know what to say on with him. And yeah, pretty much that. Okay. So good first game. But obviously now we're going to be taking on a team that just won their first game as well. I don't know where I could take a look at their ratings. Does it show it on here? I feel like it does. Oh yeah, it does. Oh no, that's FCS East's ratings from last game. Okay, I could definitely say why we beat them, just because their overall ratings of 52. So, yeah, they're definitely not very good. But we're 66s across the board. I don't know how good Wyoming is, so I'm hoping we could beat them. But, yeah, shout out to Branham for that good first game. All right, let's advance to next week and see if we can maybe start the season off 2-0. That'd be awesome. So second game of the year against Wyoming. Can we find a way to beat them as well? Let's see what we got here. But first and foremost, obviously we'll come back to that a bit. Looks like we did get locked out by a 3-star recruit. Not that that's terrible, but we do get a lot more XP again that week, so maybe it's another win? Yes, it is. Okay, 2-0 to start the season. 2-0 to start the year. Okay, we're already doing, I think, better than last year in this point, which is good. Championship contenders jumped up to a D-, so we're improving in that area. Maybe we're actually starting to build up a decent team. I don't really know. But Gels has reached his top 8 schools. Apparently, we're currently in 6th place for him. And in Page, who's a 4-star recruit, has reached his top 8 schools. We're currently number 1 by a good chunk. But obviously, work to still do. But good to see we're leading on some 4-star guys. And then, like I said, Starks locked us out, unfortunately. But that'll give us some hours. Actually, no, never mind. We didn't spend any hours on him last week. Oh boy, we're playing Louisiana, right? Or where's LSU again? I can't even remember. I think it's Louisiana. Holy crap. Okay, we're getting destroyed. I didn't even realize how good some of these teams are. Oh my god. Yeah, that's going to be a while before we become that good. If our team somehow won, I'd be surprised. But we're definitely going to be 2-1 after this game. LSU is like a 2nd-ranked team in the entire thing. I'm not sure. 94 overall rating, 91 offense, 99 defense. Oh, man. Well, we're going to get completely slapped, but it is what it is. At least we started off 2-0, but we're definitely going to lose this next game. So update on Valencia. We're currently number 2. Gels, we are number 6 as we saw, but we have a lot of work to go. Shin, we are number 3. Still fighting kind of for that 2nd spot. That first team has a bit of a lead on us. And then Page, we are number 1 by a good chunk. Tolbert, we're also number 1. He's close to reaching his top 5 schools already. And it seems like we're getting some good interest after every week. So maybe there's a chance we could get Tolbert. Just got to keep on working on him. So I'm liking that so far. And it kind of sucks that we didn't get locked up by any 4-star recruit in a way. Just because I would like to get some of these 3-star guys worked on a little bit. But looks like some of them are still a little bits away before they make their decisions. I would like to get some hours into them, but I just feel like I can't do that because if I take away any hours from any of these guys, that's when you slip up and another team catches up. So, I mean, we could take maybe away hours from Gels because we are in 6th place and don't know if it's something we can really compete with all those teams above. He's definitely a good player, but we are doing good already on Shin as the edge rusher, so I think I'm going to withdraw from Gels, which might not be a great idea, but I feel like it's a waste of hours almost on him. I could just remove it down to like a 10-hour thing and see if we can still compete, but I feel like I'm going to take Gels off of our list almost. I know we just jumped up, though, into this thing. Let's actually just remove some hours from him. Let's do a... let's do a 25, and then we have 25 hours to spend on some 3-star guys, because I think we need to start working on these 3-star guys a bit, especially the ones that are close to reaching their top 8. So, With that said, let's go to Coates here. Let's do... I want to do more than 5 hours a player, though. That's the only thing. But, let's go with one of these defensive tackles. Add 10 hours. Let's go to... Goddamn, man. It's really tough to make these decisions. Let's do 10 hours on Coates, and then we'll do 5 hours on Ritzman, I guess. Just to give our name out there again a little bit on those dudes. But I feel like we needed to spend some hours on those 3-star guys. And I think that one 4-star guy, I feel like it's a little bit of a lost cause, maybe. But could be wrong. Alright, anyways, we have our game against LSU here. So we're going to get destroyed. If we somehow win, I will be absolutely shocked. But... let's hope that we can at least score against them, because they're one of the best teams in the entire national ranking, I guess. Because I think they're ranked number 2, and we're like near the bottom probably still. But let's just see how we can put up against a really good team. Let's see how we could do. Wasn't expecting to have to play a team like that this season, but Tolbert's reached his top 5 schools. That's good to see, and we do get locked out from some 3-star guys. I got 205 XP, so we definitely did lose, but... at least it was some experience against a very good team. Apparently in top school ranks we're 133rd. But they were number 2, I think, which is insane. So, yeah, did not expect to beat them. Did not expect that. But Tolbert, like I said, reached his top 5 schools. We have still a good little lead here. And maybe we could get him to commit here relatively quick. Because there is still an easy... it's not an easy route, but maybe we can. Maybe we get into a recruiting battle for him. But if we could get Tolbert, I would be pretty happy with that pickup. But Ritzman has locked us out, and same goes with Braverman. So we'll be able to remove those guys from our list as well. But kind of sucks. I feel like I want to spend more hours on some of those 3-star guys, but at the same time, I'm pretty focused in on these hard 4-star guys right now. Valencia, we're still number 2, but we have to kind of work very hard on that first team. They have a way better pipeline tier, so I don't really know if it's worth working on Valencia, but it is what it is. Gels, we actually moved up to number 5 despite lowering his hours, so that's interesting. Looks like it's still a while before he reaches his top 5 schools. Shin, we're number 2 now. We're closing in on that top team, which is interesting. Page, we're still number 1. Tolbert, we're still number 1. And apparently with Tolbert, we could now actually schedule a visit already if we really want to. But is our team good enough to actually schedule a visit? That's the only thing. It would be nice to schedule a visit, but I don't really know if it's worth it or not. Nobody has scheduled a visit so far with him. And then Coates has reached his almost top 8 school soon. We're very much in the race if we could get out of this cutoff part, but we could probably get him if we actually keep on working on him. So, maybe we should remove some hours from some other dudes. We're also number 5 on this guy's list. Let's just remove these guys that locked us out. Oh, man. We should probably start working on some other dudes a bit. Other than spending 50 hours a week on all these 4-stars that are probably going to eventually lose, but maybe not. Because we are first in a couple of them, or second in a couple of them. It's just Gels that's number 5. I think I'm going to remove Gels fully from my list, just to free up more hours and spend it on 3-star guys. I don't know if that's the right idea, but we're going to remove him. I just don't think I'm going to have a chance to get him with where I am currently. Might have been a dumb decision to do that, but I think it's for the best. Alright, we have 30 more hours now because of that, so we could start putting hours into some of these other guys a bit more. So let's add at least like 10 hours on some of these other dudes, just to kind of get some more interest if possible. And then that should be good. Hopefully we don't have to throw our name into the hat for some 2-star guys yet, but there's probably still some 3-stars we could look into. But anyways, we have another game. It's against an Ohio rival in Cincinnati. I think they're probably rivals just because they're both Ohio, but they're definitely a better team than us. They are 1-1 so far. We are 2-1, but you can see in terms of overall ranking and all that, they're definitely the better of the 2 teams. But maybe we could pull off an upset somehow. How did we actually do against those other teams? Like, we forgot to go back to the scores from game 2 and also from that tough game against LSU. We got to take a look at those for fun. Probably should have done that before, but our second game that we played against Wyoming, we won 24-21, so it was a pretty close game. One we won by, I guess, like a kick, technically. Let's go back to that game here. Let's see what we got. 62% completion rate, that's pretty nice. 242 passing yards for Brookhart, that's really good, I think. Receiving, stuff like that, all right. Just wanted to go to that. How did we play against LSU, though, in week 3? Probably terribly, right? 38-14. That's not as bad as I was expecting. LSU being the second best team in the league and also having those good of rankings. I mean, 38 giving up is not great, but scoring 14 against them, I mean, I feel like I will take that. I think I'll take that. So it's not a terrible showing, but obviously it's tough to go up against a team that's that high of rankings. So let's go through the Cincinnati game. Likely based on overall ranking, we should lose this game, but maybe our team can find a way. So let's advance to next week and see what we got in terms of this game and see if anybody locked us out this week again. All right. So looks like some people are reaching their top schools. We'll come back to that in a second. We got 240 XP, which I think means another loss, unfortunately. Yes, it does. So we started off 2-0, but then we lost 2 in a row. But we did play some decent teams, so it makes sense. We have dropped down, I guess, in terms of some things to, like, yeah, we're still in the same ranking, I guess. So we're, like, one of the worst schools still out there. But at least we're still improving, I feel like, a bit. But Valencia's reached his top 5 schools. We're second. We're almost in a battle with that top team. So that could be a chance for a recruiting battle later on. Shim, we're number 1. We're also kind of fighting with that team that's second now, who's dropped off to second. And then Clements has reached his top 8 schools. We're currently 6 for this 3-star defensive tackle. All right. So we did have somebody lock us out. Johnny Brookhart was the player of the week. That's the first time we've seen a quarterback as the player of the week. Because most of the time we always see, I think it was some guy that's already left us. Can't remember his name, but anyways, that's a really good week for Brookhart in that loss. 304 yards, 3 touchdowns, and a 57% completion rate. So shout out to Johnny Brookhart. Not somebody that we picked up in the series. I think he was on our team originally, but that's a really good week for him. All right, let's go back to recruiting here. Let's see. In terms of our hours, we got locked out by Fong. It's not terrible because he's a JUCO anyways. But, I feel like I want to schedule visits on some guys, but I don't really know if I do either. Has anybody had a visit scheduled yet out of these dudes? No, nobody has any visits scheduled yet, so that's not bad. I think we'll probably keep with the hours that we have spent right now. Because Coates, we're kind of in a battle right now for first place, but obviously he hasn't even reached his top 8 yet. This guy has a pretty big lead with that other team, but we're still trying a little bit. We're 6th on this team list, but we could still jump up a decent chunk, I feel like. We're not in the top 8 for Kennedy yet, but we might be soon. If he locks us out, it's not a terrible thing. We'll save some hours up. And then Vic, we aren't in his either. So these two guys need some work still. But a lot of other dudes were like pretty high up on, so might as well keep working on these 4-star guys, even though it's technically spending most of our hours every single week, because we're making good work on them, I think, for the early going. Because obviously there's still a lot of season left, so we could either get into recruiting battles for them, or maybe we'll somehow get them to commit to this team earlier on. All right, I think we're going to go for a few more weeks. We do actually have the bye week already, so we don't even have a game. Yeah, let's get a couple more weeks done maybe, and just see how this team continues to do, and also to see if we get anybody getting close to commitment by the end. Looks like Page has reached his top 5 schools or something like that, I think it said. Obviously nothing's going to change during the bye week. Other than the championship contender, we're still going up on that, so that's good. We have a D- in championship contender, which is above teams like Utah State, Toledo, Temple, and Oregon. All right. But yeah, Page has reached his top 5 schools, and we're number 1 by a long shot. I feel like we might be able to land some of these guys this year, but I felt like that last year, and then we lost in the last little bit, so not too sure on that. And then Bargava has reached his top 8 schools, and we're currently number 2. All right. I feel like the way we're doing this hours so far this year is good. And then, like I said, if we can't land some of these guys, we could start putting our name into the hat for some 2-star recruits, like closer to the actual off-season portion. So I think we're doing an okay job, even though nobody's committed yet at this point in time. So our next game is against Miami, who is apparently 3-1. They are definitely the better team on ranking, but in terms of overall ranking, I mean, we're 66s across the boards. They're like 72. It's not terribly better, but it's still going to be probably a tough one to win. At least we won the first 2 games of the year, though, so it's not like we're going 0 something, but I don't expect us to be crazy good this year, but I expect us to at least maybe make an improvement from last season. So let's go back to recruiting, see if there's anything we need to change up with ours. I don't think there is, to be honest, because I kind of like the race we're in. Apparently, some people are scheduling visits with Valencia. The top team is. All right. Shouldn't we drop to 3rd on? Yeah, that's definitely a close race. And all of them has scheduled visits. So a lot of teams are starting to schedule visits with these guys. We might as well schedule a visit with some of them, but we'd have to remove the send to house, which is probably not worth it. Probably not worth it. I don't know how much more additions visits do. I just don't think we're going to win our games necessarily either. So I probably want to keep it the same. But I probably should have some visits for some of these guys, but we'll leave it for now. But we're number 1 on Coates' list now, which is good. And 2nd on Clements, number 1 on Kennedy. We jumped up a lot on him because I don't think we were even in his top 9 before. So, yeah, I think we're just going to keep the hours the same. Keep it going. I know we're kind of going through the season a little bit quick, but I think at least I now have an idea of how to run this series a little bit quicker. So let's advance to next week, see how we do against Miami. I don't expect us to win, but maybe we could somehow keep it at least close. So let's see how we do against them, since they are 3-1 on the season. Looks like some people are reaching our top 8 schools. All right, and we're leading on those guys, which is good. We might have won because we just gained 1,000 XP. And yes, we did. So that's a pretty big win. That's a pretty big win. We took out a team that was 3-1 and had better ratings than us. And we have jumped up to D+ in championship contender. All right. We're actually a top 90 team now in terms of that. I'm pretty impressed with this team so far early going. Looks like it might have been an overtime win if that's what it means in the brackets. I still don't know. But in terms of the recruiting updates, Coates, like I said, reached his top 8. We're number 1. And same goes with Matthew Kennedy. So looking decent. We're winning games this season. We're actually recruiting well, I think, too. And another offensive player of the week for Johnny Brookhart. I mean, I would like to put our backup quarterbacks in, the guys that we did draft in or that or picked up. But Brookhart's been really good. He is an 80-something overall quarterback, so it kind of makes sense. But he 269 yards, 3 touchdowns, and another good 60% completion rate. Barely can talk for some reason, but that's really good. All right, let's go to that game because I'm curious on the looks of that game from our team. But Brookhart has been pretty impressive the last few weeks. Because, yeah, if we go to the MAC here, yeah, he was the offensive player of the week here in week 6, and I think in week 5 as well. No, it wasn't week 5, it was week 4. Yeah, week 4. So in the last 3 weeks, he's been at 2 times the offensive player of the week. So Brookhart's definitely our MVP here early on. And like I said, I wouldn't mind if we got, if we go back to our depth chart here for a second, it would be good to probably get Jennings in some games, just because he does care about playing time. But I'm hoping he's not going to be a guy that ends up leaving his team just because he didn't play any games this season. But Brookhart has been fantastic. The only thing is his deal breaker doesn't, it says it's an F right now, which is not great. So I hope he doesn't leave after this year. But right now he's definitely been our best player. We did redshirt Sharp. Sharp will obviously be a quarterback probably next year if Brookhart does leave us at some point. So there's that. But let's go to that game. See how we played against them because I don't know the score line. Kind of curious if we got a lot of touchdowns or what. So if we go to week 6 and go to the MAC again. 31-29, so it was definitely a close game, but we barely beat them. So that's a nice little game there, I'd say. A nice little game. Let's go to this other stat lines. But, yeah, I'm impressed that we beat a team that's better than us in terms of overall rating. So, 78 rushing yards from Branham. Brookhart had 70 of his own as a quarterback, which is pretty nice. 92 receiving yards from Robert Thomas. We had Goodwin on 70, Griffin on 64. I'm impressed with this team so far. We're doing better than last year. We have 3 wins. Last year, I think we had 2 total. So, this is a solid start to the year, for sure. All right, let's go to a recruiting update. I would like to have somebody commit in this episode, but we might have to wait till next episode. So it looks like we might have to start thinking about removing Shin because we dropped down to 4th now. But Valencia, we are still number 2, kind of in a close battle. But that kind of sucks. Shin, yeah, we've dropped down to number 4, and North Carolina's in number 1. Wasn't Shin the guy from North Carolina? No, he's from Virginia. Never mind. I think since we're dropping on Shin, I might remove him, be honest. I might remove him. We might have to look into a 3-star edge rusher because we haven't been able to land any of them so far. Pager's number 1 still. Tolbert, we're number 1. He's close to reaching his top 3. And then Coates, we're number 1. Bergava, we're number 2. Same with Clements. Kennedy. Do I remove from Shin? He's kind of close to reaching his top 3. I think I'm going to remove Shin. That's a tough decision, but I think this is the right time to do so. So that way we could spend hours on some of these 3-star guys a bit more. So instead of the 10 hours we're going to spend on each of them, we're going to spend more than that, I think. If we can. Let me just see how much hours I could spend on the most, but kind of want to make sure everybody gets a good chunk of hours. We could look into some new recruits, but I might wait still a little bit. We have 100 hours, which means I could spend 25 hours on 4 people if I wanted to do that. We have 5 people here. So I guess technically we'll do 25 hours on everybody except for one of these defensive tackles. Yeah, that's probably what we'll do. So, yeah, let's do 25 hours on you. We'll do 25 hours on you. I don't really care which one it is. Actually, what's the race looking like on Clements? Maybe I'll put it on the other dude. Yeah, I'll put it on the other dude instead because the other one's a little bit closer. So let's remove on that. Go back to you. Add 25 hours on you. There you go. I think I'm doing a decent job with how I'm setting up scouting out these guys, but obviously we're going to have to start putting hours into some lower end talent, but I think we're making some good headway early on at least. So there's that. Kind of sucks to drop out on that 1 4-star guy, but I just don't think with us going from 2nd to 3rd to 4th, I just feel like we're not going to be able to land him. So anyways, our next game is against the Minutemen, and they're actually technically worse than us on paper, but they have a better record right now. They're 4-2, we're 3-2. Technically, they're 64s across the board, and we're 66s. So this is a game we should be able to win, considering we just beat Ohio, or not Ohio, friggin' Miami. And if Brookhart continues to play like he's been playing, we should be able to win some games. Currently, we are 3rd place, it looks like, in the MAC. I don't really even know how that works, but I think this is a game we could definitely win, even though the team's 4-2. So can we become a 4-2 team after week 7? Let's see. It would be nice to win 2 in a row again like we did early in the season. So let's see what we got. Let's see what we got. First and foremost, looks like we got some updates on those. We'll come back to that in a second now. And 305 XP, which means I think that's a loss, potentially. Yes, it is. Damn, man, that sucks. So we lose to a team worse than us, but beat a better team. Our championship contender drops to D, but at least we're still 500. But I was hoping we'd be able to win that type of game. But in terms of the updates on the prospects, Tolbert has reached his top 3 schools. We are very close to getting to commit already, I think, which is awesome. We're leading on Ohio State. Now, Ohio State obviously being a better school, They could definitely still steal Tolbert from us. Like I said, I feel like Tolbert could go to either us or Ohio State just because he's from Ohio, but it's going to be a tough race. And then Vic is still number 1 for us, which is good. All right. Looking decent on that. Let's go to recruiting, see what we got here. Any crazy updates? Second, first. Oh, man, that's such a tight race again. Oh, boy. Is it going to be one of those ones? Yeah, Ohio State got a lot of interest that week. I feel like they're going to jump us. I just don't know how I could get more interest in 50 hours spent. I don't think there's any way possible. God damn. We'll come back to that in a second here. At least we're leading on a lot of other kind of guys. Some 3-star recruits we're having a tough time with. Like this guy, don't know if we're going to be able to land him. But I think we're still doing a good job, but I am a little bit nervous about these two. As both these are pretty big battles, especially with this one being close to a commitment. We've seen it happen before where we just barely lose out. So let me back out of this for a second. Is there any chance if I go to coaching upgrades, there's one that helps me get more interest on prospects every week? Oh, it does say right there. I guess I maxed those out already. I can't do any of these. Recruiting actions have bigger impacts on quarterbacks. Damn, I wish I had all this stuff unlocked already, but I have to wait still. Because we need to sign 2 top 5 recruiting classes. Interesting. Yeah, that's going to be a bit before we get that stuff. Okay, well, I guess we'll keep it for now. So I'll go like that. And I'm nervous that we're going to fall to second on some of those guys, but I'm hoping that our team can somehow win it still. So anyways, we have another game here. We have the Central Michigan Chippewas, I think that is. They're not really much better than us. We're better defensively. They are the better offensive team and overall ranking, but it's definitely a team that could be one that we beat. So hopefully we can finally beat them. Let's go back to the scores and schedules, though, see how last game was, because we know that we lost it, but I don't know if it was a crazy bad game. It was a pretty bad game. 35-14. I'm kind of surprised we got beat that bad, considering that team is rated worse than us, but guess nobody was on their game in that one. Maybe we had an injury or something like that before the game. I honestly don't know. Yeah, I haven't taken a look to see if anybody got injured yet this season, so let's go do that as well, just to see if that might have changed something with the last game. Anybody injured right now? Just Eric Shepard. Okay, that's a pretty big one, I guess, because we don't have great edge rushers. So that might be why. He's out for 8 weeks with a fractured elbow. Oof. Yeah, that kind of sucks. I don't know why it says the deal breaker is undefined when they're injured. Kind of weird. I feel like that's like a coding glitch or something. All right. Well, anyways, I don't know if that injury is why we lost last game, but we have a tough game here against a 5-2 team. We could beat them, but we could also lose to them for sure too. So let's see how this week goes, and I think after this week we will probably stop simulating. Depends on, I guess, the updates on some of the recruits, but let's see if we can have at least a close game with this tough team, despite them being not much better than us. So Valencia has reached his top 3 schools. That's good to see. A lot of these guys are actually getting close to committing already. Did we win? We gained a lot of XP. We did win. Oh, right. That's a huge win against a 5-2 team. We are 4-3 on the season now. And once again, our championship contenders dropped up to D+. All right. Well, we're winning against good teams, losing against teams that are worse than us. Don't know if that's necessarily the best thing in the world, but I will definitely take that. And then Valencia's reached his top 3 schools, and we are far off the list now. He's definitely looking like he's going to commit to whatever that W team is. I'm guessing like Washington, Wenatchee, something like that. But since he's... Actually, never mind. Since he's from Michigan, I'm guessing it's Wisconsin, maybe? I don't know. I'm just guessing random W states and all that. But yeah, I don't know if we're going to be able to get Valencia at this rate. I might have to drop out on him. That sucks that we dropped off on him. Roderick Hunter was the defensive player of the week, so a defensive game, I guess, maybe for us. That's a nice little one to see. So continuing on the trend of having some good players in the series so far. But he had 4 tackles, and I don't know what DEF is. I'm guessing something defensive, but I honestly don't know. All right, so we won that last game. That's good to see. We'll come back to that and see how that game went. But to end off this episode, we have dropped off to second and third on every single 4-star recruit that we were working on. That's not a good sign. But at least our team's winning games during the season. But Valencia, we dropped down to number 3. Page, we have dropped down to second. Oh, boy. And yeah, that other team has jumped up a lot. Tolbert, because of Ohio State, he's going to commit to Ohio State. There's no way we're going to beat him. There's no way we're going to beat them. I knew it from before we started recruiting that Ohio State was going to win. And Ohio State has kind of came out of nowhere and put all the resources into them. I think we got to remove every single one of these guys and spend hours on other people. That blows. That blows a lot. But the good thing is we're leading on these 3-star other options, but we need to look into a 3-star right tackle and all that in next episode. I think I got to remove probably all these dudes, which kind of sucks because I thought I was going to be able to maybe land one, but once again, we're barely losing on these dudes. The good thing for us is we could look into some other options and stuff like that. Like, we're going to need definitely edge rushers. So, let's see if we go to 3-star prospects. Is there anybody we could land potentially? Nobody has us in this number of interest, all right? Playing time. Yeah, we could definitely throw our name into the hat on some of these 3-star guys going forward, but we're probably going to have to remove all the 4-star guys, which will free us up 150 hours to work very hard on 3-star recruits. But I don't think it's worth trying to compete now at this point. Like, maybe there's still a chance on Valencia because they're not as high pipeline tiers as I was thinking. But Page and I'm trying to compete with Ohio State is really tough. We could maybe still get into a recruiting battle with them, but I don't think it's worth the time almost into it. So I will leave that up to you guys. Do you think we should still work on these dudes until they actually commit to a team, or should we take those hours away and spend it on some 3-star recruits instead? Because right now, obviously, we haven't had a commitment yet this season. So we'll leave that for next episode. Final thing we're going to take a look at is how our team did in that last game. We have a game actually for next episode against Ball State, who is a team we could beat. They are 3-4 despite those low ratings. I think we honestly could be 5-3 after next episode at some point. That's nice. Yeah, I'm really impressed with how this team's been so far in terms of winning at least. But if we go to the MAC, which last week we want to go to week 7. Actually, not week 7, was week 8. Where are we? Oh, it's the first team. Yeah, 21-14. So a decently close game, but we do win against a really tough team. So that's good to see. Let's take a look at the player stats in that one as well. Brookhart, once again, was playing really good, 65% completion rate. Like I said, I would like to get Jennings into some of these games. Maybe we should put Jennings in against Ball State. That might not be a bad idea. But then we might end up losing too, potentially. Branham, damn, looks like we're getting some really good results. I'm pretty happy with this team right now. And obviously, we're only just above 500, so it's not like we're crazy good, but hey, we're definitely winning more games than last year. Just sucks that about those 4-star recruits, though, because I would have liked to land more of them, but maybe if we get more 3-star guys, that will be just as good. Continue to build up the 3-star team, build it up into a 4-star eventually. I don't even know if we're a star yet. Like, if we actually go to, once again, scores and schedules, are we actually ranked as like a 3-star team, or how could I take a look at that? I don't think we're a 3-star team yet. I think we're still like a half-star, but if I go to like play game, for instance, does it say anything about our star ranking? No, it doesn't. It just shows overall ranking. Where does it say what my team's ranked as? I guess it's in, I think I've seen it in somewhere. Records, season stats. I don't know. CFB history. That's just our seasons and stuff like that the last few years, right? That's the teams that have won in the past. Where could I take a look at the team stats, maybe? Oh yeah, here we go. Team stats. If we go here and go to the MAC, This might be the place to look. So yeah, we don't even have a single star apparently, but we're 4-3. So if we look at the macro right now, this is how we could compare ourselves to other teams. Right now, we're averaging 22.7 points per game. We have 159 total points, 2,527 offensive yards, 361 yards per game, 5.5 yards per play, 1,866 passing yards. Looks like we're a good passing yard team based on that. Some of these stats, I don't know what they mean. I do know what they mean, but I don't really know fully. That's just from an offensive standpoint. Defensively, it looks like we're actually a good team. Looks like we're maybe a top 4 defensive team. Maybe not. If we go sort this by defensive points per game. Actually, maybe we are. Our points allowed per game. Yeah, we actually might be a really good defensive team. Huh. I was expecting us to be more offensive, but maybe not. Alright. Interesting. Alright. So there's that. Anything else we need to take a look at? I don't think so. But we've had 2 offensive players of the week, and we've also had a defensive player of the week. So I think for the most part, I've been pretty impressed with this team early on. And obviously, we need to start focusing on the scouting, our recruiting a little bit. But I'm also hoping that this team continues to win games during the season. So with that said, that's going to do it, guys, for this episode of Akron Zips Dynasty Mode. So in next episode, we'll get the rest of the season probably done. And hopefully we can get some commitments, but I would say most of the commitments might come in the off-season again. Obviously, it kind of sucks about these 4-star recruits, but I think we might have to withdraw our names from a lot of them just to kind of spend hours on those 3-star guys, or else we might not get really much good players this year. So hoping, obviously, we get some good guys, but I won't hold my breath. Like, I definitely think we could land a lot of 3-stars like last year, but I don't think we're going to land a 4-star like Robert Thomas anytime soon. So I think down below, and I'll see you guys next time.